We are live. Super Terb Podcast, episode 42. You guys know the drill, though. Starting here. And we'll be sharing to my personal, and we're going to get started. I've got a great guest today, Blake Koch. Can't wait for him to tell his story. And race car driver, commentator, entrepreneur. It's going to be fantastic. So, 2 seconds. Let's see. And we'll make sure we got Kershaw tag too. Got to have Kersh. And we're going to get started. We are live. Okay, perfect. Hit the record. And welcome to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Terb, your local real estate expert with the Untitled Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, a.k.a. Super Terb, a.k.a. Coach Terb. And welcome to the Super Terb Podcast, episode 42, where we talk real estate, business, sports, and beer in the triangle, as well as feature guests that are local entrepreneurs, business people, sports athletes, you name it, coaches, and let them tell their story, obviously with the real estate tip filtered in at the same time. My guest today is Blake Koch. He's a professional NASCAR driver, FoxSports NASCAR commentator, entrepreneur, where he started the company Filter Time, where it's a residential air filter company that delivers filters to consumers' homes on a regular basis. So right up my neck of the woods as far as being a resale, new construction, real estate agent. So this is going to be great to have him on his story and have him tell more about what he does and what motivates him on a daily basis. But before I bring Blake on, I'm going to do my real estate update today. And guys, over the weekend, we had something insane. We had 2 listings go live, and in a combination of those 2 listings, we had 30 offers on one home, 12 offers on another. So obviously there was 2 buyers that won the deal, but in saying that, we had 40 people walk away without a home. And in this market, if you've been hearing me say for many months, if we go back all the way to last year, 2 years ago, as our inventory has been decreasing, it seems monthly. In Wake County right now, we have less than 2 weeks of inventory in the triangle. And that's all of Wake County. And if you look at the triangle MLS, we're probably slightly over 2 weeks. So what does that mean? Even when you look in a specific area, you're only going to have so many properties to choose from. So if you're looking to get into the market, it is so important to make sure that when you are talking to agents, hopefully that would be me, that you're going to be talking to a professional that's going to put you in position to win. In saying that, don't get frustrated in this market. I know it's very easily done, but what I will say is when you are ready to get into the market to buy, make sure you're prepared and make sure you've got a game plan together to where you go in, you're going all in to win. Because of the demand, the competitive nature of this market, you're going to need someone in your corner to put you in the spot to when those sellers are reviewing offers, you will be at the top. So if there's anything I can do to help you, if you're thinking about getting in this market, because you do not want to wait. Many people are thinking, hey, Terb, I'm going to wait for this market to crash. I'm going to wait for this market to slow down. If you're doing so, you're putting yourself in position to where you're not going to buy at all. I will say that because our supply, again, is at an all-time low, and it's going to take so much time for that supply to equal out to where we get back to a buyer-seller market. The home that you're looking at today, in 2 to 6 months, it's going to be even more than what you're looking at. So get in now, especially with rates still very low, and we'll be able to put you in that position again to win in this multiple offer situation. So please reach out to me. And that's my real estate tip for today. I'm going to take a quick break. And on the other side, I'm going to have Blake Koch. And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Michael Terb, your local real estate expert with the Untitled Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, a.k.a. Super Terb. And I have my featured guest joining me today, Blake Koch. Say what's up, brother.
What's going on? How you doing?
How you doing, man? I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join me. I know my boy Jeff Kershaw connected, said, hey, man, you got to have Blake on the Super Terb Podcast. And then when I saw what you've been doing, obviously with your career and what you started now, I was like, this is going to be an awesome visit. Plus, we have a couple things in common. Not only, Kersh, you're friends with Junior. And I have some old Junior stories from back when I was at UNC Charlotte. Of course, we could share some of those later, but it'll be of the PG-13 variety. I went to school with Josh Snyder, David Hovis. So I know all those guys. And so we had a really good time there. Of course, Kershaw was my old roommate. So before we get started, Blake, man, tell everybody listening, of course, you're going to be on Apple. You're going to be on Spotify. You're live on YouTube right now. You're live on Facebook. So you don't understand the stardom that is coming your way on top of this.
You're making me nervous.
I tell everybody listening, again, your name, where you're from, and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I'm Blake Koch. Originally from West Palm Beach, Florida. Now I've lived in North Carolina for over 11 years. Former NASCAR driver, like Super Terb said, and now entrepreneur. Started a company, Filter Time, and my partner is Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I'm also a coach. I do some coaching for some NASCAR drivers. So I heard you say you have athletes, entrepreneurs, and coaches on your show, and I kind of do all three of those. So that's
Yeah, man.
cool.
Like this was like a hat trick if you're looking at it in hockey terms. I mean, and just reading more about your career, man. I've got a lot of questions for you. And, just want to learn more about you. And of course, people listening, really, I started this podcast for people that may be thinking about starting their own company, their own business. They may be in a job right now they're not the happiest in, and they're thinking, all right, Terb, what can I do to take that step? So I think anything you could share with that from what you've experienced is going to be fantastic. So I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, you were with NASCAR. Are you currently still racing now?
No, I'm not. So my career ended after the 2017 NASCAR season. So 2016, I finished sixth in points. 2017, I don't remember, but top 10 in points. Had a really good year. All of a sudden, I lost my sponsor and my job, basically. I was told on January 9th, 2018, like, Blake, we're not going to have you back. And that's pretty late in this.
Yes.
Like, the season's going to start.
Daytona's February.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm kind of, don't know what to do. And I put my head down and was digging for 2 weeks straight, trying to find another ride, trying to find other sponsors of ride. And after that 2 weeks, I was just like, man, I don't really have the passion for this that I once did. And to make it as a professional athlete or in this sport of NASCAR, you have to be all in 100%, everything you got to beat the millions of other people that are trying to have your job. Right. So
no question.
I just didn't have that anymore, man. I was blessed to make a little bit of extra money. I didn't have to get a job right away. My kids at the time were like 3 and 5, and I was kind of done. I was like, I think I want to start a business and like start a family business, something that my kids can take over one day if they want to, be home more, experience a new kind of life. So I got a notebook. I started writing down business ideas for a couple weeks. Some were great, some were horrible. Looking back, I still look back at that notebook. And and I was going to the store to buy air filters on January 29th. And I spent a bunch of money on a bunch of stuff I didn't need, pulled down my road. I was like, dang it, forgot the filters. The whole reason I went to the store, forgot the filters, thought, man, there's got to be a better way, like something that you have to do multiple times a year. You have to remember it's a pain. They're big, they're bulky. Like what size, you're looking through your phone, what size do I have? When did I change? What kind, babe, what kind of filters did we get last time? Like it's a pain. So
I was just going to say that because, dude, I have it in my notes section because I'll go to Ace Hardware and I'm like, dang it, I forgot what size I even have. And then I'll come back and then I'm trying to fit them in the filter spot and they're dented and cracked up, and I'm like, well, I guess this will do for a little bit. But
and then they only come in 2 packs and you only need one. Then you got to store one for 3. Like, it's a pain. So I was like, I wrote it down. I was like, air filters auto ship. So then I started writing down the details. Like, I only want the amount of filters I need when I need to change them. I don't want to store. So like just writing down all these ideas. And on February 1st, I came up with a name and trademarked it. So like thought about it, the idea January 29th, February 1st, trademark Filter Time. And then I'm kind of an all-in person there, Terb. So I just went in. I was like, all right, I have a fresh notebook. I have a whiteboard. I'm putting deadlines. I have goals. I don't even know like what an air filter is, right? Or what it really, like, I don't know what MERV means and all these things. Like who makes air filter? How am I going to do this? How do you ship them? I was a race car driver. I showed up, got in a car, and drove in circles for hours. So this was new.
And what I'm going to do is kind of stop you there because I have some questions leading up to Filter Time.
Okay.
And I wanted to just kind of start from not necessarily the beginning, but I want to ask you first, what made you get into racing? How old were you when you drove your first car?
When I drove my first race car, I was 21 years old. So later.
That was kind of late, right? I mean, most time you're in there pretty early, right?
So I started racing dirt bikes when I was 9, raced motocross. And my dream was to be a pro motocross racer. Well, I got hurt a bunch of times and wasn't really good enough to make a living at it. And I stopped racing dirt bikes, went to college for marketing. And when I was at college, my stepdad's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a race car. Would you want to drive it?" I'm like, I don't know. Kind of enjoying like college life and not. I grew up racing my whole life. Weekends were gone at the track. I was
Where'd you
kind
go
of
to college?
Northwood University in South Florida. It's a small business school.
Okay.
So I got in a race car, loved it. It was fun. And then, like I said before, I'm kind of an all-in guy. I was like, well, if I can do it, like if Jeff Gordon can do this, I can do this. So like I'm gonna be pro. And I started like Googling how to become a NASCAR driver. Literally, I Googled how to become a NASCAR driver, and it starts telling me like these development programs, the list of teams. And I just started calling all the teams. I was like, hey, I'm your next guy. And they're like, how many championships you won? Well, I've only raced once, but I'm gonna win championships.
I love that because I was
Yeah.
gonna say, so when was your first ride? What was the first car you got?
Yeah, so the first time I ever drove a race car, I was 21, and then I made my first kind of NASCAR sanctioned event race. It was called the Camping World West Series. Now it's called the K&N West Series. I think I made my first start in 2008, which means I would have been, I don't know, 23. So 2 years after I ever first drove a race car, I was on television.
Where was that race?
That was in Roseville, California.
Very cool.
So Roseville, California, 2009. I made my first NASCAR Xfinity start, so the second highest level in NASCAR. 2009. And then I made a nice 10-year career out of it, man. Just meeting people, grinding, working hard, sponsor, like just did it.
What was your aha moment when you were like, "Dang, man, I'm driving a race car for a living"? Like when was that moment? When did that hit you? Were you in the car? Were you driving behind the pit car, the pace car, ready to take off on your first race?
Yeah, Terb, I think it's a little different for me because I didn't grow up in a family around it. I didn't grow up watching it. So I would say every time I pulled up to the racetrack, I had that aha moment where
That's awesome.
Every weekend. My last race was just as exciting as my first race. Like you drive through the tunnel, getting in the track, you see the grandstands, you walk up to a big semi truck with your name on it, and you have like this team and you're the driver, like you're the quarterback. It's like, man, that feeling never really wore off for me. What did wear down on me was leaving every week, leaving my wife, leaving my kids. And as a race car driver, like it's unless you win, you lost. Like, so I lost every race of my NASCAR career because I never won. So it's like you carry that with you all week. Like, how do I get better? So I could never shut it off. So although I was home during the week, I was still stressed out, worried, thinking. Like I was never really present at home with my wife and kids. I was always thinking about racing, and I'm trying to do a better job at that now with it.
I am too. I am too.
Yeah.
That's part of my deal this year is trying to be present when I'm there, not on the phone, and thinking about what I'm doing next, what listing's going in, what client needs this, and be able to actually put the phone down and be present. That's a very big challenge for me as well. In regards to the racetrack, what was the best experience you had in your racing career?
I would say winning the pole at Talladega was probably the coolest part. Because, like,
now, which series was that? Which series was that?
Pole at like Iowa Speedway. You'd be like, "Oh, that's cool. I didn't know Iowa had a Speedway."
Talladega.
Like Talladega, everybody knows the name Talladega. So
yeah, I know that thing on PlayStation. I go real fast. Yeah, I don't imagine doing it in a car though. I'd be.
Yeah, and that was cool to me for a couple of reasons. For one, I basically started the race team I was driving for. Matt Colleague was the team owner. A guy, Chris Rice, and myself, found the people, found the car. Like we started this race, and Talladega is mainly about the car. So when you get the pole there, I shouldn't get a lot of the credit, even though I do. It's all about the car. You just hold it wide open and hug the line. It's really simple as a driver.
You're just going 200 though.
Like seeing our team
to it.
beat, like at that time, Colleague Racing was a second year team, really small compared to everybody else, and like we beat everybody else. So that was really cool for me to experience.
Yeah, and so is Talladega your favorite racetrack, or even Daytona?
No, least favorite racetrack.
Okay, what's your favorite?
Favorite would have to be. I love the short tracks and road courses, so I like Richmond, Bristol. I like Road America. The road courses are a lot of fun for me.
How about Martinsville?
I've never raced Martinsville.
Okay, that one seems the most tiring. Richmond's cool.
It's a bucket list, though. I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm gonna get back in the car here one day and go to Martinsville.
And you've raced at Charlotte too, right? I've saw that.
I ran the Coke 600 Cup race at Charlotte before.
I saw that. I mean, that's a long time right there.
Yeah.
Did you finish that race?
I did. I didn't
I mean,
finish
that's a
all the
long.
laps.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long day, man. That's a long day. I actually went to the 600, and when I was in school, you know, and because I went to Charlotte, and our apartment actually was right there, spitting distance. I mean, we could see the stands from our deal. So anyway, we went. Me and Mo and Hobus actually we went to the thing, and it was my first. Well, one of my mom's actually small world, but actually I got a great story. You'll maybe get a kick out of this. So my mom has no idea really athletes. I mean, Michael Jordan may walk in and she'd be like, he's tall. I think I know who that guy is. So one day, this was years back. So I sell with my mom, work with my mom. And this was when I was still in school. So like in high school, and Rick Hendrick comes into her office and needs to buy something for his daughter, and ends up buying a townhome. Ricky was there with her, and she had no clue really at all who he was. And it was even funnier because he's like, what are you doing this weekend? And I think there was a race down. It was actually, I think it was Talladega. And they're like, would you like to go to the race? She's like, I'd love to, but I'm cleaning my closet out this weekend. Like, so then she goes home to my dad and tells him who her client is. And he was like, do what? So anyway, she had that relationship with him. But so we went up to Martinsville with, when, we sat with Gordon's section, and then in Gordon's section, the 600. But I remember that race. I was like, it's pretty cool, man. You guys can bring a cooler beer in with you and actually put the earplugs in. The only thing with 600 is so long. Like, I like all the action. I like the pits and everything. In regards to driving, though, who was your most favorite driver to compete against, or is there a couple?
None. I didn't like
anybody. You just
not that I was racing against, but
who do you competitively would be like? That's you would, maybe the most respect for.
You have, but once you're on the track, like, you want to beat everybody, right? Yeah. So like, you don't enjoy racing anybody. There's not like, I
guess it's similar. Yeah,
this guy.
Well, it's similar. Yeah, I coach college basketball,
but I do have great friends in the race. Like Justin Allgaier. I raced with Justin Allgaier 8 out of my 10-year careers, all the years, and he's through that. We've still been great friends. So, talking off the track, racing on the track. Only 2 years of my career was I in a good enough car to compete against him, because he was always in top equipment, and a lot of my career was very small teams, low budget teams. But I would say in the Xfinity Series, Justin Allgaier was like my best buddy.
Well, it's great, and it's funny because the next question I had for you, and I think this is very true, because I was like, what separates the good versus the great in drivers? Because I bet you guys are probably all pretty much very good in race car drivers. I know you guys separate themselves just like any professional athlete, but would you say that it's just mainly, the equipment and the money that you have behind you would separate the drivers versus,
Yeah, it's a mixture, right? The best driver in the world can't take a underfunded small car and win with it, right? Mm-hmm. Now, he might be able to run better than I would in it, where let's just say Jimmy Johnson. Mm-hmm. If me and Jimmy Johnson get in a car that normally finishes 25th, I would like to say I could finish 25th in it, 24th in it, and he might be able to squeeze out an 18th.
Got it. So not much. It's a lot of it's equipment.
You certainly can't win with it, but you take 2 drivers and put them in winning race cars, that elite driver is going to win. So a driver has a ton to do with the race and the result, a ton. And there's a big difference between great drivers and good drivers. Just like any other sport, you have a lot of the players on the team that are really, really good. They're pro, they've earned it. But then you have those few elite guys. And that's the same in racing. That elite guy can just take a situation and win with it and figure out how to win. And I think that comes down to just, they can see better. They have better peripheral vision. They have reaction time. They have just gut instinct. There's a lot that those guys have that some people can learn a little bit to get closer to that, but it's tough to get there.
And they got the money behind them too, because I was going to ask.
That's the biggest part.
So what's the sponsorship run to have the logo on the hood?
Well, you got to ask Jeff. Jeff's going to sponsor me in one of these. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to put NC Filtration on my car.
Because I was thinking the Super Terb logo. Like, what is it going to take? Maybe, because I think that would be pretty cool. But what am I looking? What kind of?
Yeah.
And is there a layaway program for that?
There's kind of you're not supposed to give the rate card out, but I'm gonna give it out because I'm not even in it anymore and I don't really care. But if I wanted to go try to win an Xfinity race at Bristol, I need to find $160,000 for one race. It's sponsorships. That's not Cup either. That's Saturday. Yeah.
So that's one race.
One race.
So,
one event.
So if you're running 20 races,
yeah, you run 33 in a season.
Yeah, so 33 times 160.
Yeah,
so I gotta sell some houses. What you're saying?
You gotta sell some houses, and I need to sell some air filters.
All right. So when you were driving, what would you say the biggest challenge you faced? I mean, I think you kind of mentioned it, kind of being at home and trying to separate that. But what was the biggest challenge that you could think of?
Yeah, the biggest challenge for me, like if I'm looking back at my career, there's a lot of things I had to do to get to my last 2 years. My last 2 years were great. I was in a really good car. We made the playoffs. We almost made the Final Four. They were really good years. I needed a coach, and I'm not just saying that because I coach drivers now and trying to say like everybody needs a coach, but literally when you're a driver, there's not that many people that are feeding you the truth of where you need to be better, what you need to work harder, you need to do this, and keeping you accountable to your craft and your job. Because you mainly just have your friends and your family, your guys just telling you how good you're doing. Like, oh, you did awesome, man. Oh, if you could get, one more year, you guys will do really good. Like everybody's feeding you this stuff to make you feel good. And you really don't have many people around feeding you truth. And I needed that. I needed somebody telling me, hey, you need to get better at restarts. You need to pass people better. You need to, and helping me figure that out. I really think that could have been the difference maker. Me now selling air filters and still racing on TV.
Well, no, it's so true though, because I think I think for anybody to be great, they need that accountability no matter what field they're in. I mean, I have 3 real estate coaches, but I came from the coaching background where, I needed someone, especially in my profession where you wake up every day unemployed, you have to have what things you're doing, but then exactly right. I mean, there's people that they're obviously there to pick you up, but they're also there to put a foot in your tail to keep you going or what you can work on. And I think that's also applies to, whether, you're trying to get in better shape or, eating, everything. So I think that's cool. And I think it's awesome that you're coaching. That's awesome. So when you got out of racing, I saw you, also did some commentating with like Fox Sports. And did you have a podcast or did you have a show? I actually was looking at some of the things you did. It looked pretty cool. How long did you do that?
Yeah, I did that for 2 years. So fresh out of being an Xfinity driver, I met with Fox and we came up with the idea to have a segment on their weekly show called Race Hub of just a 4 to 6 minute segment talking about the Xfinity series. So it was called Blake's Takes, which I go on there and talk about the race and who did what and just kind of recap the race, talk about the upcoming race, talk about a playoff bracket, and just share my knowledge of the Xfinity series with fans that are watching at home. And I had a great time doing it. It was a lot of fun. Eventually, I follow my passion, man. And if I'm not fully passionate about something, it's hard for me to feel like I'm doing the best I can. Right. And I don't want to grow up to be this TV guy. I just don't. So it was fun, but it sizzled away. But I learned a lot. My passion now is just building a business, right? That's my passion. So yeah, it was fun. Met a lot of great people, especially the other commentators on there, Adam Alexander, and seeing what those guys do. Like most people at home have no idea that these guys are reading a teleprompter, watching the event, and listening to a producer in their ear telling them like how much longer they need to talk. Like it is crazy how they can multitask. It's nuts.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. So, I mean, that's cool that you got that. And I know in the beginning of the podcast, we started chatting about filter time and, what made you lead to start that. And so when you were starting your business, what were the biggest challenges that you were facing in doing so?
The lack of knowledge was really my only challenge. I would say my biggest success was doing it, right? A lot of people think of a lot of great ideas, but very few actually go for it and actually do it. So I had that down. So pulled the trigger. The next thing was like when you're trying to figure out how much shipping is going to cost you, like, I don't know anybody to talk to you at the post office or like UPS or FedEx. Like, how do you figure it out? How do you build a business model? I don't know how much air filters cost. I don't know how many filters people use in their houses. Like, I didn't know anything about the industry. I don't know how to build a website. I don't know how to do these live chat bots on the, like, there's so much.
No
I
doubt.
didn't know. I didn't even know you could buy Google paperclip. I didn't even know it was a thing.
So you had to find
SEO was a
people.
foreign term to me. Search engine optimization. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about this stuff. I knew how to promote brands on my social media platform and drive a race car. So
So you had to find people to help put around you.
yeah, just Googling it and listening. And I've met a lot of great people throughout my career and life that I could call and ask for advice. One of my business mentors is Matt Collick, and he helped me a lot with just answering questions on starting my business. And he was the team owner I drove for, and is a very successful entrepreneur. And then, once I have the business started, and then you start actually getting into like the fulfillment process, for me, luckily, if I didn't meet our mutual friend Jeff, I don't think I could have done this. Like, I don't think I could have done it. We have 160 different size filters, 3 different rating. Like, what am I going to store
So
300 different sizes in my garage? Like, it
what
was
is
crazy.
what does Kirsch do? How do you guys work together?
So he just knows everything about the manufacturing process.
Got it.
Him and his dad have been doing this for so long, where it's like you can mention anything about an air filter. He's like, oh yeah, we can do that. I can do that. And then like the fulfillment process, order comes in. Well, this is how we should do it, and this is how much inventory. So like managing the whole production side is what Jeff handles. And he literally handled like NC filtration and filter time. Like right now I'm at NC filtration. Like filter time is inside NC filtration.
I
So I
gotcha.
sell the filters. Like I'm good at that. I know how to do that. Get the sales, promote the brand, build the brand. And he builds the operations, the side behind the scenes, making sure that filter gets out the door.
Very cool. So how would you think your racing sports background, helped you with starting your business?
I would say the fact of hard work equals success, right? Like your goal. I really think like leading into a race weekend, you have a goal. Well, to meet that goal, there's a lot of little things you have to do throughout the week to meet that goal. And I kind of keep that the same in business, where it's like, okay, I have an annual goal. Well, then there's 12 games in a year, right? There's 12 months. And I learned all of this from Matt Collick, owner of Leaf Filter Metal Racing. He's like, you have 12 games in a year. So like every month, like you said, you wake up jobless every day, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
February 1st is a brand new game. Like last month didn't matter. Last game didn't matter. It's a whole new game to win. And my game is to beat last week's numbers. So I just want to beat last month. I want to beat last month. And in order to do that, I have to have weekly goals, because if I have a bad week, it's not going to be a good month. And in order to have good weekly numbers, I have to have good daily numbers. So I break it down into a day. I need to have this many influencer posts. I need this many referrals. I need Facebook ads, Google ads, like all this stuff to equal one day. And then those days compound over a month. And next thing you know, we're, doubling in size every year. And that's kind of my goal, is to double every year. And
Just
we've been
keep
able to
going.
do that. Yeah.
How many people do you have working for you right now?
Well, Filter Time itself has 2 employees,
Okay.
myself and Crystal. And Crystal does all the customer service, and she also helps with the team here at the fulfillment center doing all the operations, helps with inventory, and just oversees a lot of that stuff. She's just an incredible rock star person that is very, very hard to find. She basically runs the show. And then Jeff and I have 6 people here in the shipping department, where they're in charge of pulling the labels and building the boxes and picking the orders and wrapping them and taping them. And I try to be involved there to keep it fun and keep them motivated and make sure they care, which luckily they do care. These girls care about this box that's going out the door. And hopefully that's because I've helped them care. They want to care. They want to
Yep.
make me happy. They want the brand to look good. So I feel like that's probably my biggest role here at the fulfillment center, is just making everybody want to do great. and they just crush it. So I think we have 7 people here doing the pick, pack, and fulfilling. And then I have a pretty big marketing team too. But those are just subcontractors, not full-time employees. And then we didn't even talk about making the filter. Now, making the filter is all with Jeff at NC Filtration, and that is a crazy production, hundreds of people.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it's done, but the filter comes out looking amazing. So that's
Just
awesome.
know how it's there. It's ready to go out, and then
people don't even understand. I don't even think people understand. They probably look at a filter like, oh, it's just a filter, but there's so many steps and people and processes to go through for that one little filter to come out.
That's crazy. And I see where, like I said, top of the podcast as well, and then just looking, at Filter Time. It seems like is Dale Jr. a partner with you, or did he help start the company with you? Or what's his affiliation?
So he's my partner. He's co-founder, co-owner of Filter Time with myself. And I like time frames. So like started the company February 1st, right? Trademarked the name. April 1st, I text Dale. I got his number from somebody. Didn't even know him that well. Met him twice. And I was like, hey man, I want to talk to you about this new business idea I have. And he's like, great, let's meet. And we met first week of June after I launched my first website, and I just had the idea of him maybe giving him a licensing fee, like, hey, I just want a picture of Dale Earnhardt Jr. holding a box of air filters on a website.
Well, heck yeah.
That's what I wanted, right? That doesn't everybody want that? Like Dale Jr. holding something.
Yep.
And I told him that in the meeting, and he's like, man, I'm really not interested in that. I'm not interested in, a quick turnaround and licensing deal and making money off of your business. But I would love to own it with you and be your partner on this journey. And I believe you're going to win, and I want to be a part of that. That's what he said. And I was like, wow, well, that's freaking awesome. So we worked out a deal where he owns, half the company with me. So, we're partners and building this thing, and he has a lot. Dale came here to Filter Time's Fulfillment Center, gave the warehouse team a Christmas present and took pictures. Like, he loves Filter Time. On his podcast yesterday, he was more decked out than I am in Filter Time gear.
I need a Filter Time shirt. I'll rock it with you.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
So with Junior though, I was going to ask you your best Dale Jr. story that you could share. Like I said, PG-13, but when I was back in school, like I said, I was a basketball coach, and I was a manager at UNC Charlotte with Coach Bobby Lutz and another fraternity brother and manager, George Walker. He's actually coaching high school now, but he and I coached an AU team together for 1 year, and Junior actually sponsored our team. So
nice.
He cut us a check, and we got uniforms, and we had Junior Motorsports on the back, and that was really cool, a cool experience. And I haven't obviously talked to him in several years, but I would say something about him. He seems like he's always trying to help, or he seemed like he's that type of person. So I could see him doing that with you. That's a fantastic story. So where do you see Filter Time in 5 years, man? You said you're looking to double, and what would your vision be?
It's hard. I only look a year ahead. I have no idea what 5 years is going to look like. 5 years ago, I wouldn't even thought I'd ever be selling air filters. So, man, I would just hope that it's just bigger. It's still small business, a couple employees, maybe, probably gonna be sending a lot more filters. Maybe we have to have a bigger warehouse, but still like this family team feeling environment, like walking in, seeing everybody, and like just bigger. But I don't see it. Maybe add another product. I really want to add refrigerator filters. Maybe next we launched an RV filter.
I need the water filters in the refrigerator. That'd be something else that I think everyone needs to be sent. That light comes on and it just sits like that.
I know.
I want to do that. My mother-in-law sends me one because she doesn't want to drink the bad water.
So. Jeff's probably cringing right now if he's watching this, because I come every week. I'm like, hey Jeff, we should do this next. He's like, oh, come on, Blake. I'm like, I always want to do new stuff, and Jeff and I make a great team too, because he'll balance me out. Like, dude, we haven't even. Like, we have this new project and we haven't even launched it yet. I'm already on to another project. He's like, dude, we haven't even launched the first project yet. Like, okay, you're right. But probably just more projects.
I'm the same way. I'm like,
yeah,
it's hard, man. Jordan's sitting right next to me, and I was like, Terb, let's finish this before we start that. Our brains are always moving.
Yeah,
That's cool.
well, I do
So
want to touch on. I want to touch on the new product we launched because I forgot to
yeah,
mention it. But we have an RV filter. So this air filter goes in all the RVs, and we actually got in all the Camping World stores over the summer. So Filter Time has an RV air filter that's in every Camping World store in the country. So I thought that was pretty cool because I had no idea how to get a product to retail. Like I had to figure out how to make a UPC barcode. Like how do you do that? How do you do that? So all these little things that I got to learn, and now I can say I've taken a product to retail. Like that's pretty cool.
So I got a couple more questions before we get to rapid questions.
Okay.
Um,
I'm not good at rapid
questions. Well, you don't know what's coming either, so it's gonna be fun. So going back and someone's watching this and saying, what's one thing you would share with someone that's maybe starting their own business, entrepreneur, that you would want to share? Like, only if I knew back then that I do now, what would you do differently, to start your business that you've learned from?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I would have done anything differently. I'm super happy with the way it's gone in the process. I was very disciplined to a budget. So when I started my business, I took a certain amount of money, I opened a bank account with it, and I'll tell you, I started with $15,000. I don't mind saying it. So I put $15,000 in a bank account of Filter Time. And I was like, this is enough money I have. Like, this is what I have to start the business. So with that, I had to buy a domain name, build a website, order boxes, find filter, like all this stuff. And I just stayed super disciplined to that. Where when we launched, I think we had a couple $1,000s in revenue, and I took a small percentage and started marketing with it and just reinvesting the profits strategically to the point where we are now.
Well, it's cool that you said that you shared that, because someone may be thinking of starting their own business. They're thinking, well, I need an exorbitant amount of money. I'm not saying that 15 grand is not a lot of money, but some people may think I need 6 figures or I need this or that. And I think the biggest thing is just taking the step, taking the, I always like to tell myself, fail forward. You've got to put yourself out there to, to succeed. And you may not do it the first time. It's just a matter of, just like my coach would tell me before, I started to try to build my team. He's like, Terb, you're looking at you think it's a 12-foot pool. It's 2 feet deep. You got to take a step.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing with anything. And so lastly, for rapid questions, what do you love about Filter Time? What do you love about what you do?
I just love the challenge. I love to see growth. And for some reason, I'm just super passionate about Filter Time and its potential in the people that it employs. Like, with Jeff's people for Filter Time, I play a small role in his growth, and play a small role in having employees out there that are getting paid and feeding families. So like just the growth and the ripple effect of what that does, I'm super passionate about. I'm passionate about making people feel good. I don't know why, but I'm just super passionate about Filter Time and where it's going to go, what it's done, how it's gotten here. And I live
for it. I love it. I can see it, feel it. All right. Rapid questions. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite band?
Oh, that's a hard one. Tim McGraw.
I'm seeing mine tomorrow. They're in Raleigh.
Who's that?
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be our 4th time. My wife and I. It's kind of our thing.
Nice.
We went and saw them in Charlotte back in like 2016-ish. I can't remember. Over at the Spectrum Center. And I took her for her birthday. I knew like one song, but they're phenomenal at live. So then the next year I was like, next time they come back, we're doing it right. So we did Meet the Band, all that. And then they were up at Walnut Creek, which is old school Blockbuster Pavilion style in Raleigh. And then of course they're now back in PNC. So we're excited. Favorite sports team?
Panthers.
All right. You and I, we're good.
I met you at a Panthers game.
We did?
Yes. Jeff told me. I met you at a Panthers game last year.
Before or after? Do you remember what game it was?
No. Before the game.
Well, it's like, a lot of it's distraught. It is, I'm in my mindset then too.
I was with Eli. It was Jeff's brother, me, and Eli.
Yeah, we go to all the games, and last year was tough, man. I'm not very. It's probably the least excited. I know I'll probably get excited when the draft gets closer, but it's just it's been a tough year. But okay, what do you like doing when you're not running Filter Time?
I like playing Xbox.
All right. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie is Invincible with Mark Wahlberg, football movie.
All right, man.
Yeah,
That's good.
love it.
That's always tough for me because I know like I have several. It depends on genres or whatever. But I always rank or can do favorite movies as when you start watching it. You know, it doesn't matter where you pick up on it, you just finish it. You know, like
Yeah.
so
And
it
you can watch
depends
it
again.
15 times.
It depends on that.
Yeah.
Favorite place you visited?
I really like the Bahamas. Big Bahamas
Cool.
fan.
Where do you want to travel that you haven't visited yet?
Nowhere. I don't really love to travel at all. I'd rather
Okay,
stay home.
what's a dream destination, like a dream place?
I have to say Hawaii. Like who?
All right,
I mean, Hawaii. I've never
Hawaii.
been
All
there,
right,
and it'd
good
be
deal.
cool to say you've been to Hawaii.
Fantastic. Yeah, and you could have dinner with 2 people, dead or alive. Who would it be?
2 people, dead or alive. Oh man, that's really tough. I've never been asked that question.
I know. You never know what's going to happen when you come on the Super Turf podcast.
Yeah. You know what? I would like to have dinner with my grandfather who passed away when I was like 2, my dad's dad. That'd be cool to just
right.
hear stories on the family. And then another one I'd have to think of, probably some major entrepreneur that I can learn from at a dinner.
Okay, that's good enough.
Family, business.
Who is your favorite charity?
Favorite right now, man, it used to be when I was involved with it was Compassion International, where you sponsor kids.
I do the same thing right now.
Yeah, I love Compassion International. We still have 3 kids through them. And then I really have grown to love the Dale Jr. Foundation, where it supports local kids in need, whether it's buying backpacks or food or anything with kids.
Where it started this year is anybody that comes on, every home we close and every guest on my podcast, we are going to donate $50 to your favorite charity.
Nice.
So I'm going to send $50 to the Dale Jr. Foundation in your name for
perfect
being on the podcast.
Awesome. It's great.
Yeah. This year was we wrote a letter out to all of our friends, clients, spheres that we're close to, and it was just titled "The Year to Give It." So that's what we want to do here. And then lastly, I've asked every one of my guests on the podcast. And I always joke because eventually, when the Super Turf podcast retires, I don't know when that will be. I can make a book of the answers. But what's the best advice you've ever received, and by who?
The best advice I've ever received, and by who, was probably from my mom. And so when I was like 15 or 16, wanting things in life, where it was like to drive race cars or start a business, or if you want to be in a band, like whatever. I think for me it was cars, right? And I used to rely on my dad a lot. We're like, "Hey dad, I need your help." And he'd be super busy and he'd help me, but like, she told me that don't ever wait on anybody, go do it yourself. And that was really big for me, because it's really easy to let people tell you that they're going to help you and think they're going to help you, and you expect that they're going to help you, and you wait on that. When in reality, my mom always pushed me to, if I want something, like, go get it now. You can do it. Go make it happen. Get it done. So my mom gave me that advice. Just don't wait on anybody. Just go
wait it. Go get it. I like it. I love all the answers that I get on that question. It's pretty awesome. So first of all, again, thanks for coming on the podcast. Let everyone know, of course, when I share everything, I'll tag you again. But if you want to give obviously how to find you, how to find Filter Time, please say right now, like, how people can reach out to you if they have any interest on getting on a subscription for the filters.
Yeah, for sure. Filtertime.com is where you go to get signed up for Filter Time. If you want to connect with me, like, I'm probably most active on Twitter and Instagram. So my personal Twitter account is at Blake Koch Racing. And my Instagram account must be the same. I'm not too sure. Blake Koch Racing, I
Blake
think.
Koch, all right,
Or
cool.
you can look at like
Yeah.
Filter Time on Instagram or Filter Time on Twitter, and I check those too. I fully run the Filter Time Twitter account too. So if you ever tweet at that, it's me answering.
Well, I just followed you on Twitter because I'm gonna make sure.
Sweet.
On YouTube, I'll tag you and post the link for the YouTube so people can come on and watch. And then it takes about a week for the podcast to come up on Apple and Spotify.
Okay.
My boy George that helps me with my website and the podcast, he uploads it for me. So we're doing 2 podcasts now a month. That's our schedule. We started out pretty fast. I was doing like 1 a week.
Yeah.
I was just being busy and actually, selling houses at the same time. But I love doing this. It's a lot of fun. So I can't thank you enough, brother, for coming on. It was a pleasure meeting you, and be able to tell your story and what motivates you. I think that's awesome. And I just wish you the best success in the future. So anybody that's looking for filters, go to Filter Time. See my boy Blake. And again, guys, if you're at all thinking about or if you like the podcast, please like, subscribe, share it. If you're listening and you're a local business owner, entrepreneur, athlete, coach, you name it, reach out to me. I'd love to have you on the podcast to tell your story. And as well as if you're thinking about buying or selling in the Triangle, we'd be honored to help you accomplish your real estate goals. And as always, again, it's Michael Turbot, your local real estate expert with the Untitled Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, a.k.a. Super Terb. And as always, guys, remember, who you work with matters, and we'll see you next time.